Ebola is an animal-borne acute viral illness spread by the common African rat. In parts of West Africa, including Sierra Leone, Liberia, Guinea, and Nigeria, it is endemic. Neighboring countries are also at risk because the animal vector lives throughout the region. Transmission of Lassa virus to humans occurs most commonly through ingestion or inhalation. The rodents share the virus in urine and droppings. Direct contact with these materials through touching, eating contaminated food, or exposure to open cuts on a person can lead to infection, with symptoms usually gradual. The Navrongo Health Research Center, NHRC, in August 2022 got approvals from the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, Ghana Health Services Ethics Board, the Navrongo Health Research Center's Institutional Review Board, and the chiefs in the Kassina Nengana community to begin the first in-human Lassa fever trial. It has taken the center over 3 years of study to arrive at the point of having the first cohort of participants assessed and dosed in September. The center, as of October 15, 2022, had dosed 10 participants under the first cohort, while Kintampo Research Center in Sabono East had dosed 2 participants. The second cohort for the study is expected to start in November this year. The director of the Navrongo Health Research Center, Dr. Patrick Ansan, says the vaccine's safety signals will be observed within 1 month for the second cohort to start.
3 doses that are being used now. The first cohort was given to the lowest tolerable dose that is known. Once it is safe, we'll escalate the dose to the next tolerable dose and look at it in another group of 12 people, and then we go on to the third group. And if it is safe in all these 3 doses, then that means we can easily use the third dose. What they are looking at too is the reaction in the body. So after the 3 doses, if all are safe, we'll look at which one generates the most reaction from the body. And in case the highest or the second highest or the lowest generates enough reaction, then we know what dose to use before we go on to look at what schedule the person should be given. That is the use of phase 1. We look at the safety and the doses that can be tolerated. From there, we move on to a phase 2 trial where the selected effective dose is given to a group of a little more than a phase 1, because now we are sure it's safe. And if it generates enough immunogenicity, that is reaction in the body, positive reaction against the virus, then we now move it to the phase 3 where a whole population is given. A lot more, maybe 300 to 3,000 participants can be used in that trial. That's to look at how efficacious or immunogenic that vaccine will be in a bigger population. For now, we know it's safe. The last phase is the phase 4, where it is licensed for use, it's given to everybody, and we still open the monitoring for those who have reactions from the vaccine to report. All these phases are used in modifying the use of the vaccine. Phase 4 continues almost forever. All drugs which have been licensed for use, all vaccines which are licensed for use, are still in phase 4 phase, as FDA and other international bodies still look at reactions from administration of those vaccines and drugs throughout its life cycle, and anytime they have enough signals showing that the drug or vaccine may be dangerous, then they can take actions on it. It will take about a year or 2, they move on to phase 2, then to phase 3 before it is licensed.
There is currently no documented Lassa fever case in Ghana. However, per the Lassa fever epidemiology in the sub-region, Liberia and Nigeria had minor outbreaks, with sporadic cases in Togo, Burkina Faso, and Cote d'Ivoire. Ghana was therefore chosen for the phase 1 study in West Africa because it has not recorded any Lassa fever case and is a naive population.
We have not seen any yet. It's not possible that there will be Lassa fever all around us and there will be none in Ghana. Secondly, the phase 1 studies are normally done in naive populations where there are no cases. So with all these countries who have recorded cases, phase 1 would not be effective in those countries. So at the development phase, it has been decided already that Ghana is the only feasible country where phase 1 could be done in West Africa. That's why Ghana was chosen. Our population is the best population to be used to check if this thing elicits protection in those who have never had Lassa fever before.
Dr. Patrick Ansah says Lassa fever is likely to be the next epidemic the world may face after Ebola and other hemorrhagic fevers, and it may plague particularly the West Africa sub-region.
It's a dose escalation study. So the 3 cohorts will be giving them increasing doses. So this first cohort is the lowest dose. We move to the next dose in the next phase. And then the 3rd dose will be the highest dose. Once these doses are accepted, we'll choose the best dose, not necessarily the highest dose, but the dose which elicits enough reaction from the body to protect them against Lassa fever. And with that one, we go into the next phase of the study, which is a schedule phase, where we are looking at whether 1 dose is enough or maybe 2 doses 8 months apart or 6 months apart. That will be all part of the study. The whole study is supposed to last about 18 months, and by the end, if everything goes well, we're able to come out to say the vaccine will work to protect people against Lassa fever at this dose and at this schedule, or we can say it hasn't really worked.
Dr. Ansah said not only are researchers running against time to get the country prepared for any public health emergency, but also the trial of the vaccine in the country will be Ghana's contribution to the world for a Lassa fever vaccine.
This vaccine is likely to be taken to countries where cases have been detected, and it will be measured against preventing actual cases. By the time it becomes a sub-regional emergency or epidemic, and Ghana will be having cases, we hope the vaccine will be finished and we can also have access to use it. So that's our contribution to global health, not really preparing ourselves alone, but helping the world develop the vaccine.
The first in-human Lassa fever vaccine trial is expected to take about 18 months to determine whether the vaccine will work to protect humans from Lassa fever at a particular dosage and schedule. The clinical trial for the Lassa fever vaccine was done with the Kintampo Health Research Center, while funding came from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.